Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this week's market update, I want to start off with two stories to put things into context. So over the weekend, I put out an update. This time last year, we were looking at Bitcoin approaching the hard fork, and we said that there was going to be lots of panic. People panic when they don't understand what's going on. There's going to be a big correction in price, and then we'll look back and laugh. Now, Bitcoin was trading at $3,000 at the time, and sure enough, we had a big pullback. It recovered, and here we are today, thousands of dollars higher. The second story I want to give you a look at was when Ethereum was hacked, this week, 2 years ago. And again, people literally thought that smart contracts couldn't be done in a decentralized fashion. Look, this wasn't secure. It wasn't going to work. And the Bitcoin price fell from, $22 down to $6 over the coming weeks. And again, those that understood what was happening didn't panic. They bought more at lower prices. And we look back and laugh now with Ethereum, 100-fold higher than where it bottomed out. So I want to get into a few of the stories this week before we go over the price analysis. So look, these are the headlines as usual, guys. CNN, billions in cryptocurrency wealth wiped out after a hack. Misleading headline. The exchange that got hacked is tiny in the scheme of things. It does a few $1 million in turnover. CoinRail. Most of you have never even heard of it. So again, it's funny how we get these articles when we're at, important levels technically, but you guys know that I always say what matters most and what moves markets is sentiment and fundamentals that play out over time. The next article we're seeing that's scaring the market is, this Wall Street Journal article, CME and BTC exchange dispute led to the US regulators opening this price manipulation probe. So if you don't know, the CFTC are doing a price manipulation probe. Now, as I've said before, there's hundreds or thousands of other scandals going on in the world of finance that I think they should be concentrating on other than the Bitcoin price being manipulated. And you know what? We know there's manipulation in Bitcoin price. It's somewhat unregulated. There's whales in different countries that have to abide by US law. So many things that we know can push the price around, and markets stay irrational in the short term, longer than you can stay solvent. So caution out there always when trading crypto, particularly on margin, guys. But the fact is we know prices get pushed around. There's nothing new here. But again, markets are just having these knee-jerk reactions. People are scared. Money flows to where it's treated best. And at the moment, there's a lot of people that aren't certain about what's going to happen in the crypto space. And every coin in the top 100 was red today. Next up, the thing I want to point out is that often the good articles fall on deaf ears. So have a look at this. BitThumb, one of the biggest exchanges out there, given the all clear got by the government, they didn't find any evidence of wrongdoing. And this is the sort of thing that no one's probably heard of this article, yet everyone's heard of the negative articles recently. The next date we're sort of turning to now that people are looking at is June 13, when the SEC is sort of holding a more informal discussion to talk about, crypto in general, how it relates to mutual funds, a bit of fraud prevention, all that usual stuff, terrorist money laundering, blah, blah, blah. So that's the next date to keep in mind, guys. But before we get into the price on the daily chart here and have a look at where we think it's going to play out over the next few days, remember that this time last week, I told you about two videos that I'd watched about Andreas talking about Bitcoin and the Amisego and Vitalik team talking about how bright the future of Ethereum and scaling is in general. Now, nothing has changed, guys. My longer term perspective. It's funny watching these markets, and hopefully you're starting to tie this all together with the two stories that I told at the start of this presentation. So let's now have a look at the technical level. So last week, Bitcoin was trading at around 76.50, and we were looking at this date to see if we could get a bit of a bounce. Now, we barely got anything there, guys, and as cycle bracket theory says, once you break the low of where you start the bracket, the weakness should remain for the entire length of that bracket. And as you see here, a bit better, a bit of a bounce around that trend line, and then just capitulation on big volume. So there's a couple of things that we're looking at now, guys. I know a lot of people say when these trend lines get broke, there's always a different group of traders with another trend line. So look, there's a couple more trend lines here. And again, these aren't mine, guys. I just want to let you know what all other traders and trading groups are talking about. So a lot of people now are sort of focusing in on this one here at around 6,600. It's had a number of touches. We're right there now. If I had to trade on technicals alone, guys, the market's just looking bearish, okay? And often that means that we're at or near the bottom. I know it sounds like a broken record, guys, but the point I want to get across is that, is Bitcoin broken? Have we found a weakness in blockchain technology? Is this all over? Is it a bubble? And the answer is definitely no, okay? All this sentiment, this bad news, it's all just short term in my opinion, guys. If there was something bad that had happened, catastrophic, the market took this as bad news and capitulation. But if there's something bad, then yes, of course I would be open-minded to the fact that we could be in a sustained multi-month bear market. But there is just too much happening. As I said, those good videos, ETF proposals being closer than ever. We'll look back, honestly, guys, I think, and laugh. The next target's obviously below that. It's the bottom of this wick in the sort of February capitulation lows there, right at around 6,000. And again, the other capitulation low we had months or nearly a year or so now, guys, is around 5,000. So look, all this area here, I just think we could turn around at any point. The next date we're meant to get that break up is around the 24th of June. That's sort of when I was thinking we're going to break out of this tightening pattern to the upside. I'm a bit bemused that we've broken to the downside, guys, but it is what it is. Sentiment's low, page engagement on social media is terrible. I've done the polls on Twitter. People don't believe that we're capable of reaching higher prices. I'm pretty happy to say, guys, that I believe we are going to make new all-time highs on Bitcoin before the end of the year. I think this can turn around so quickly and people will rush back in. There's never been more people than ever, guys, really experience this as their first bear market. Yet what I've said time and time again, guys, is over the 6 years I've been in crypto, there's been a 50 to 90% correction every year. The people that don't really believe in the technology get shaken out, and then it marches on its way. Okay, now that's still my belief. So hopefully I've drilled those messages home. I'm not bearish long term, guys. That nothing for me has changed. I've done those 2-part videos about how high Bitcoin could go, realistic market caps. Surround yourselves with the technology, and it makes it a lot easier to swallow. So we'll head over now and check out Ethereum. Tightening pattern as well. It hasn't broken. It's not down near those February lows. The April lows like a lot of other coins are here. It's holding up reasonably well. Litecoin, it is down near those really important levels there. The psychological $100 number is the next target, and if we lose that, guys, we're probably looking down towards 85, 70s. But again, I really think this could be the flush, the capitulation, just fair value for the altcoins and the good projects is just getting to very appealing levels if it continues this correlation with Bitcoin. So 3 coins I just want to mention quickly that I think we're going to look back and laugh on. Obviously, Amisi Go. I'm interviewing the Electrify Asia team this week. They're working closely with Amisi Go. That Plasma video, they're working on scaling. This is just such a huge project that not enough people are aware of still. The next one that we'll just talk about quickly is Neo. Again, look at that, guys, up over $200, and here we are right down at this long-term support at around 44. I think this is going to be big in China this year in some way, shape or form, whether it's an official partnership with the Chinese government or just a sort of nod of approval that you're okay to continue on your way. And we're going to see a lot more projects launch on it, and that's going to increase demand. So I think $44, we're going to look back and laugh. And just finally, I'll touch on EOS. So we had the mainnet launch, a big candle there. And now we've had this big pullback. And the main reason for this, guys, is the network's going along okay, but so far less than 1% of people have voted to elect the 21 block producers. Now that's just a sign of what I was talking about before, page engagement, people that understand the tech. less than 1% of EOS holders voting on who they want to be the block producers and maintain the security and transactions on the network, guys. That's honestly very disappointing from my point of view. And I hope this is resolved in the next 24 hours, because otherwise it just tells you the percent of people that are purely holding EOS for speculation that don't understand how to vote yet. So hopefully there's some friendlier portals to vote or whatever it is. But again, I think it's just a sign of the times, and I think that's going to see a very speedy recovery once those 21 are elected. Good luck to the Australian guys. I hope they win a position. But again, I think we'll maybe look back and laugh one day at $10, market panicking, everyone expecting it to go straight up once the network got the all clear. It hasn't played out that way. Too many people trading on leverage and getting liquidated in the short term. All those things I've spoken about time and time again. Finally, I want to make one more prediction for this week. You're going to see the headlines and some more FUD about a monthly MACD cross here, guys. Again, similar to the death cross we spoke about, doesn't mean anything in the scheme of things. No, not really. But in times like this, when sentiment's bad, people focus on the negative articles. Every little bit of negative news can really drive the market lower and scare the people that don't understand what it means. And again, those positive articles, they'll be there. There's good things happening in the space. We know that, but they might fall on deaf ears. It's just a sign that sentiment's terrible. So guys, if we get down here, if we get down below 6,000, I mean, I'm just so surprised at how cheap some of these coins are going to be. You know, we could see a Misa go back near $6, Neo into $30. All your favorites, you know, the list goes on. You know, I look down here and just laugh. Funfair back at 2 cents. So look, there's so many coins. I mean, I'm just so surprised that we've got to these levels, guys. I might be selling some shares and, you know, breaking my own rules about how much I allocate to different sectors, because this is just getting to some ridiculous value now, in my opinion, for the good projects being dragged down with the bad projects that need to go to zero, and we cleanse out that business cycle continue. So a long one today, guys. Hopefully you really understand where I'm coming from with everything I've spoken about. Let's see how the next couple of weeks plays out. Bitcoin is not dead. It's not going to zero. I've never been more excited about the future, guys. So hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share these videos around. And as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.